Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here to talk about the Challenge Battle for a New Champion, Episode 17. My name is Allan and I'm joined by my lovely Vermontian co-host Zoe Trimboli.
Hi, everyone.
Luke will be rejoining us next week, but it's just us two for the time being. Episode 17, I'll be out front and say it. Wasn't as good as the past few weeks, but was still a pretty good episode of the challenge. It moves us forward, and also we have a final right around the corner.
Well, that's what happens when you lose two main characters, like when you have these people that can carry an episode with their personality and their storyline, and then all of a sudden you're relying on just one to two people for that. It's different. When we're forced to listen to Emmanuel and Colleen speak more than we'd like, it's not as fun.
Not one bit. Not one bit. Let's just jump right into the episode. Coming back from elimination last week, Nurys takes down Horacio and Kylan. She comes back to the house. She tells everyone, it's like, no, I'm the only one coming. I took down both of them. And the house is happy, which, like, I completely get it because Horacio and Kylan are fantastic competitors. Like, of course you're going to be jumping for joy. Why wouldn't you be happy?
Yeah, they're hyped. Nurys, on the other hand, is not. We neglected to mention her walking back in with the music last week to how villains are made. And if that was not foreshadowing for the Nurys we got in this episode, where she's our hero, but to the rest of them, she's become the villain because she's just not willing to play nice with everyone anymore.
Yeah, and they all come and they give her hugs. They're like, "Oh, we knew you could do it." Oh, like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't think she could do it. You had no idea who she was. But also, this should be like a moment where you open your eyes and go, "Oh my God, Nurys is a bigger threat than I realized." And Nurys looks at them all like, "I'm a bigger threat than any of you realize. I can take down any of you now if I took down the two of them."
Yeah. It's like what Kylan said in the interview yesterday, like that moment she needed to be able to believe in herself, like the people that already believed in her knew, like she needed that moment. And if they should be scared of her, that's a huge feat. I love that she didn't tell them anything about the elimination. She's like, I'm the only one that's been there, not telling you guys shit.
It's keeping them on their toes, giving her all the power. Every move from Nurys, I'm just fully behind at this point in the game. Like, there's nothing she could do wrong in my eyes at this point, and she is crushing it as well. We also see Olivia realize that Horacio and Kylan are gone, which Nuri's coming back is the worst outcome for her because I think with just the way the house goes and the way Olivia is, she could talk to Horacio and Kylan after the betrayal and kind of get them to be her friend again, still in the house. Whereas Nurys, she's never going to forget that moment.
Yeah.
And she has to actually directly confront where her friendship is, which is scary for her. And you could just see the immediate regret in Olivia's soul, face, everything about her.
Yeah, her affect completely changed. And Kyla and Horacio were still going to be up against it if they come back, and Olivia's not a threat to them in the final, and she's still not. Yeah, I know she just stabbed them directly in the back, but I would still be picking her to come sit next to me on the couch if I went a daily before all those other people.
Yeah. She it's crazy too because we talk about how bad of a decision that was last week, how it could have completely changed her entire challenge existence. And it's not even her on social media now, it's her 20 minutes later, like a day later, and she's just like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, my life is kind of over now in this show. It's just like she fucked up and she knows it. And at this point on social media, it feels almost like she felt that so much that she's now pivoted and is now just trying to ignore it. But man, in the moment, you could tell just total regret and just scrambling and desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. She is trying to apologize to Nurys, and I think she's unsettled by how calm Nurys is. Because Nurys is just like, yeah, you betrayed me. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and it's just funny too because we talk about the people who are left in the house, and like Nurys, I mean, like Nurys right now wants Olivia to be like fall in a hole, like a deep hole, like a well, and get buried there right now. Like that's how she's feeling. And even then, you'll see Nurys hanging out with Olivia in the house in the rest of this episode, in part because that's how lame everyone else is, and because Nurys is a gamer, and because she knows that Olivia is desperate to have the friendship back, that she can still use her as a number for the time being. To which we then saw Nurys very quickly like, all right, tears over. How about we have an all-female final, everyone? How about that idea? And I thought, great idea. Nurys is just a badass. Like she's staying on point the whole time.
Brilliant idea, smart idea, right idea. I said this to you, Allan. I grew up on Kim Spradlin Survivor season, where like when you grow up watching Survivor and you watch these women make the mistakes season after season after season of bringing all these guys along that can beat them just because like they don't trust each other or whatever. And I have waited to see that kind of unity and force from our challenge women. And so the fact that Nurys is bringing this to the table, like, we can do this. One of us wins, and it's an all guys in that elimination. If we get lucky and one of them gets purged, even better. But like, we have a chance to get rid of at least two guys this week, and it's a brilliant move. And all the girls should be on board because you want. I can't stand Jay, but I do think he's a huge final threat. And with that around the corner, Emmanuel is a huge final threat. Not sold on the other two, but like get those guys out. Get as many of them out as you can. We don't know what this final is going to be. Even that playing field.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant move for Nurys because I think she's by far the strongest woman left.
And you can even see the wheels spinning in Michelle's head where she's like, the survivor brain emerged in her too, where she's like, oh, this is when you cut off your number one at Final Four because they're going to beat you at the final tribal. Where Michelle, who's been riding with Jay and riding with, all these people the entire game, she's like, okay, there might actually be a path for me to win this season. And I mean, like, because I think it's clear we believe that Nurys is a much stronger competitor than Michelle. But hey, if there's a swimming portion early on and there's a purge, Nurys could get taken out right then and there. Which, dear God, I hope that doesn't happen. But if in a world like that, where I mean, like that's possible, Michelle could win a season like that. Like if it's set up in the right way and luck comes in the right spots. I mean, Kyle was telling us yesterday, like luck matters so much in this show.
Yeah, absolutely. They have no idea what's in store for them, and a few puzzles, Michelle could build out a huge lead in a final. Like it is the right move. And any of the women that are not immediately on board are completely delusional about their abilities or just bad at this game or both.
Yeah. And the lucky thing with Mariah is that even in her scenario, it's like, oh well, you're keeping James. Well, he can't run, so he's like, you're at least you're the one guy we are going to bring in this scenario. Fine, he can be there. He'll be 8 miles behind from having a heart attack, but yeah, he can come along with us.
Yeah, and I think you can like sell it to James too because he's overly confident and it's like, "Hey, do you want to run this final against a bunch of girls or those guys over there?" Okay, you don't pick Colleen when it's your turn.
Oof. Now let's get into the daily challenge, which was all the players had to hold on to a rope as they ran or walked across a moving log. The first 5 players to fall got put into a losers heat. The first 5 to stay on, or the 5 to stay on, get to go in a winners heat. Those 5 winners then compete for safety and the power to decide the voting line, and then the next 5 losers go in that losers heat, and whoever comes in last place gets automatically knocked out of the game. What do you think of the daily challenge?
Um, I like the premise of it. Again, I like overly simple daily challenges. I think I liked that there was a loser's heat, so it wasn't just like, hey, you could have bad luck, someone could bump into you and fall off. You get 2 chances to be bad at this, and if you suck again, you lose, you're out. It also gives people a chance to try it out before that losers round, so it's not just a fluke. um I like it. I think it's great. It reminded me of like going back to almost like fresh meat sort of challenges, just very simple, straightforward. Again, I was on the edge of my seat watching it the whole time because you're trying to figure out who those 5 and 5 are going to be.
It was simple, it was physical, it took some balance, some skill, and it's just high pressure of like if you fall and F up, your game's over right here and now. Uh it comes down so in the losers heat were Olivia, who fell immediately in the first round, Michelle, who fell pretty quickly, Colleen fell, Mariah fell, and Emmanuel was the surprise person who fell. I will say on that first round heat, I think Nurys almost tumbled and then kind of hit Mariah, and then Mariah came down, which I thought that was just hilarious. And I was wondering if that would actually become a strategy in the challenge where someone can maybe go after someone to knock them down with them.
I was really hoping we were going to see that in the losers round.
Yeah, Emmanuel was the big surprise, like last place finisher because he's a dancer. He's supposed to be agile. He's supposed to be good on his feet, and there's no reason for him to be like holding back in this moment.
Yeah, that I think him beating or him being beaten by Corey, Nurys, and James was surprising to me. I figured Berna was going to be very good at this, and I think Jay is just a tiny little dude who can run like a hamster on a wheel. Um, he's like a rat, so like it makes sense. But those three, I think, impressed me thoroughly. I was really impressed with James. I was impressed with Nurys. I knew she had it in her, but it's a hard competition. You never know what's going to happen. And I was impressed with Corey, honestly, because I didn't think he was athletic enough to stay up there.
Yeah, I was actually very impressed by Nurys because upper body strength is not like her thing. And that was a big part of this challenge. But again, I think it's just she's a different competitor today than she was this week than she was 2 weeks ago now. She's just a different person now. She's locked in. She has a lot of hate in her heart, competitive hate, and she's just locked in. Corey, at one point wasn't even like on the log. He was just holding himself up, but for such a big guy, just holding himself on that rope for as long as he did, I thought was actually very physically impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think sometimes we see stuff like this. Like Amanda Garcia is really good at challenges. I think like this, where you
Yeah.
have to have upper body strength because she's so tiny. Like the weight that you're holding up is just non-existent. So for a guy like Corey to be able to hold himself up for that long, that's huge. That's actually impressive.
Unfortunately, none of those people win. Berna, it's a stroll in the park for her. She crushes this daily challenge, and it's really frustrating because Berna has just been a bad competitor the whole season. Like not just socially and politically, but mentally, Berna can't solve a puzzle. She just hasn't been a great athlete in most of these challenges. She's just been an underwhelming competitor on all fronts. And then she comes out and wins the most important challenge. And I mean, credit to her. She killed it. She crushed it. But before this moment, I was going to write a blog like top 10 most undeserving challenge finalists. And she was going to be like top five, top three at the very least. Uh, but she gets the win and fucks everything up in a way.
Oh, it completely fucks everything up because while she gets the win in the losers bracket, what
Oof.
not a good strategy from the person who has arguably played the best season so far.
Yes, and Michelle is not a lot of people's favorites. We like her though, and out of anyone that's like, oh, they're coasting through this game with just their friends. Michelle has a lot of friends, but she is maneuvering these relationships. She's managing all these egos, managing all these personalities, babysitting Berna, babysitting Jay, lulling these people into false senses of security. Like Michelle is playing an amazing game, and she's not like Jay going on these little toddler tyrant like tirades. Michelle's kept it all together. She's played phenomenal. This daily challenge, though, it went bad and it went even worse, like within seconds. That she couldn't even get her like legs on the log at one point.
I think she was counting on people being like tired because she was hoping someone was just going to slip and mess up, because she immediately goes to we're just relying on her upper body strength, which she admits she doesn't have. So it's like this is a good strategy for maybe someone who could hold themselves up for a ridiculous amount of time, but you're really banking on somebody falling apart right now, and you're not strong enough physically to do that.
It did look early on in the losers heat like Mariah was gonna fall off, and then Mariah was able to get herself back going on the log, like with pretty decent footing. And I think in that moment, I tried to slow down that like the shot, and it looked like Mariah or and Olivia were like pretty close to falling, and then Michelle decided, okay, I'm just gonna rely on upper body, and then she just ended up hanging up there for another few minutes until eventually the game was over for her.
Ryan and Olivia were doing some crazy looking running on that log, trying to stay on it. Like, kudos to them for just deciding not to fall, basically, because the way their bodies were moving, that doesn't make any sense why they stayed up there. But yeah, the combination of Berna winning and then Michelle going home is a tragedy for all of us, because this would have based this is Michelle's win if she stays, because she has that much control over Berna.
The world is really cruel sometimes, man. Like it just it's sick and twisted because Michelle, like Berna is only in this game because of Michelle, and now Michelle has to leave the game and watch Berna go to the final and just wreak havoc. Um,
Michelle played a masterful game too. Again, I know people don't like her; they're sick of her. They associate with her with Jay. I think while her and Jay played a lot of this game together, it was very different. And I do think it's a bummer to lose Michelle this way after the game that she's played.
yeah, and like I just hate people saying that she coasted when it's like, no, she didn't coast. People like Emmanuel coasted through this game. People like someone who's Ed right now, like Ed, even though he's a good competitor, I would say he coasted more than Michelle. Michelle had a hand in almost every decision in this game, and she had set up a final that was potentially winnable for her, or at the very least, very winnable for Jay, who she's been in lockstep with this entire game. Uh, it sucks to see. And it's funny too because if Jay was the one to fall in this moment, I would be jumping for joy and glee. But Michelle hasn't been like Jay, and if you think Michelle and Jay have like been similar, you're watching at home like they're completely tied together. You're not watching the right show. I'm sorry, it just you aren't.
They are playing a game together, but they're not doing it the same way. It's very different. And that's why I still can stomach Michelle at this point, and I have no patience left for Jay.
Do you want to talk about what happens after this,
Yeah,
or do you want
let's get into it.
R.I.P. Michelle? You tried your best, kiddo. Next up, we come back to the house. Berna is in the power. Uh, Nurys and Olivia, they, try their idea of pitching Berna on the all-female final, which is a great idea. Unfortunately, it falls on the ears of Berna and Colleen, which is just the worst ears in human history, other than Helen Keller's.
She's they're both immediately so emotional about it, and this is why I was like, oh god, we need Michelle here so bad, because they they just make it about who their buddies are and who's been nice to them, and I'm like, have these people have been like sort of nice to you, but they also like barely tolerate you. Again, no self-awareness, can't read a room. um yeah, I can't understand. Colleen won the mole, right?
Yeah, or yeah, she was the mole, or
She
yeah,
was the mole.
yeah.
Like, I don't know, I didn't watch, I don't know how that show works, but like theoretically she should have some idea of how strategy on the show works. And when they pitched this idea of an all girls final to you, how do you not even take a second to consider that that's a good idea?
These two don't have brains. It's plain and simple. They move by the breeze of a wind, and something that really did frustrate me this entire episode is it's Berna and the other people in the house who said they gave Berna a hard time in this house. Nobody in this house gave Berna a hard time. Berna gave herself a hard time by being Berna, and they just didn't treat her with kid gloves. They gave Berna the same energy that she gives them, if anything, and if not even that.
They had a hard time maybe managing their feelings about Berna sometimes lately, but like she's a hard person to be around. If Berna, if you haven't figured that out about yourself yet, you're hard to like and you're hard to be around. Like it's clear the way you talk to people. I know it's an edited show, but that part is real. That part you can't hide. Like you're not fun.
They gave Berna a hard time. Nope, nobody gave Berna a hard. That's like no, nobody
I,
wants to
I
bully Berna because that means it would have to involve being in the same room with her. Nobody
yeah,
wants to be around her.
they're just getting like they're just grinding their teeth probably every time they're in the same room as her. So they should be sending her their dental bills. And unfortunately, these two get they immediately scurry off to Jay to tell him of this idea. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, we're screwed here. Like the fact that they're even not even holding this thing close to their chest, like they're not keeping it to themselves. They immediately go tell all the guys about the idea. I was like, okay, nope, nothing can come of this now.
The worst possible people one. And I will give Colleen props for like the way she manipulated Jay in this moment because she just like it wasn't hard to manipulate Jay, but I do think like the way they worded it all together with the way they got in his brain to where because like Jay in this moment was like talking about how he was gonna protect Nurys. Maybe he was just looking for like an excuse to actually betray Nurys. But I don't know. I'm mixed because I'm annoyed by Colleen, but she did get Jay on her side.
I don't understand the point of it though, because she was safe regardless. And so, what's her issue with Nurys? I don't understand it. Like, if she was just gonna come out and say, "I'm scared of Nurys," she just eliminated Horacio and Kyland, and I think she's a big threat, and I want her to go home. Then so be it. I don't really understand why she was so hell bent on Jay not protecting her, because Colleen has been ready to flip on him for weeks. She just didn't have the nerve to do it because she's lame. Like they've disrespected you to your face week after week after week. You are clearly the lowest person on the totem pole. They've accepted you now because there's been this overblown idea of betrayal, but like they don't respect you. So why are you so concerned with how people have talked about Jay when he's like openly said that he doesn't give a fuck about you basically?
He said it to her face even in that club scene like 5 or 6 weeks ago. Um, that's why I don't like her. That's why I think she's ridiculous and why like when she's on screen at this point, it's not. I used to have feel indifference and like optimism of like, oh, maybe she'll show us something. All that she's shown me is that she is disloyal. She won't own up to anything, and really, she just brings nothing to the table entertainment wise either. So like, I'm
She's
with Luke
lame.
from yeah, I'm with Luke from like 15 weeks ago. Why is this girl here? Like, why
Yeah.
is she here?
And then to comfort a race of all people, like you're gonna get this crew's cackles up because I was like, no, you you she can't do that for herself. I think that's why I find her so pathetic. Like you can't actually like speak up for yourself in any moment, but you want to convince Jay not to give a vote to Nurys just one time. Bye.
And after this big display, after this whole thing, we get a big display between Jay and Nurys, where Jay tells Nurys like, "I'm not going to save you." Even after last week's whole ordeal where Jay was in tears, like all I ever did was try to save you. I've always tried to protect you. I'm looking at you at this point. Nurys blows up, calls calls out Colleen and Berna in the hallway. I loved it. And yeah, Jay and Nurys get into it in the hallway where Jay's like, "Oh well, like hey, regardless of all this, even though I'm not saving you, I'm still your friend." And Nurys says, "No, you're not. You're just straight up not."
Well, you're accusing her of being a liar. You're you're rewriting this history. You're making this revisionist history of what happened because she never actually did come for you. She never turned on you. She never voted for you. So for you to concoct this story that she decided to come shooting for you is it's a lie, and everyone has watched it. She never actually did. Was she pissed at you for coming for the two guys that she cared about, specifically Horacio? I think even more than Kylan. Absolutely, she had every right to be. Mariah was pissed about people going for her 3 week slam piece. Like, give me a break. Nurys actually has like an actual relationship going with this guy. She deserves to be mad. So for him to say that she betrayed him and that she was never working with him this whole season, like, bullshit. Utter bullshit. He is just the worst. Like, what a little Napoleon. Seriously. I know, like, Kylan said yesterday he's above making fun of his hairline. I absolutely am not. Karma has come for him in the form of losing an inch every week. I just, ugh, he sucks so bad. And I can see it in his confessionals when he's trying to convince himself that he's doing the right thing. And Nurys cleared all of them. They all are fake ass, whack ass bitches. Like, they're the worst. Not a single lie was spoken by Nurys. He sucks. I just can't say it enough.
What did you think of Olivia also defending Nurys, being like, "What do you like? Oh, Jay, what are you doing? Like you made a big deal about it last week, and even she's like, you should save her over Mariah and me, even."
I mean, she wasn't wrong, and I like that she said, she doesn't lie, and what a good reputation to have as a person, like that that you can call these people over and she will tell you exactly what happened word for word. Like, I think it's a little ridiculous, but she wasn't wrong.
Someone who does lie and just does stink, though. Fucking Emmanuel. Every time he just talks on camera in his confessionals, it's so grating because he pretends like he's playing such an amazing game and that he's such a good competitor and such a good person and a friend. Dude, you've been unremarkable the entire season. You cheat on your girlfriend and you just exist in this game because Ed, Kyle, and Horacio are better competitors than you. And people say that people are overlooking Emmanuel for the final. Nobody's overlooking him. It's just Kyle and Horacio and Ed are better.
Yeah, there were bigger fish to fry, and now I think this is a perfect opportunity to get him out because I don't think he's terrible, but his personality is terrible. I think it was when Nurys came back into the house, and well, like, you could just tell they're all so bothered by her, but like, anytime Nurys speaks her mind, and he just strikes me as the kind of guy who's like, if she said something, he'd be like, so, like, he just has like nothing. There's nothing there, and uh, I'm sick of him. He's just a waste of space. Also,
What a riveting podcast we have here. What a like just
that's what I'm saying.
we have what we work with and we're trying our best. And hey, thank you, Nurys, for being there. And I'll say this, even thank you to Jay for like the weeks of hate we've built up upon him. But man, some of these others, like the Colleens, the Bernas, the Emmanuels, it's a rough show.
Corey,
Yeah.
Corey even faded to the background of just like being there at this
Cor-
point.
Corey hasn't been on the show in 10 weeks. Corey has not fucking been on this show since 2023.
Since Michelle like handled his PR and told him basically just sit there and be quiet and I'm gonna let you stay. Like,
Mariah and James just play house.
there's nobody left. This is the Nurys and Jay show, and with like guest appearances by Olivia because she's been an idiot.
God, it's it's a sore sight to see. We got the safety line though, and it's all those names we just mentioned. Uh, it was rough looking at the couch. The order was something like Berna, Corey, Colleen, Emmanuel, Jay, and Mariah, which is he makes the Mariah pick. Uh, you look at those 6 people and you're like, great. All 6 of these people, not a single one saw elimination. Which I'll note, I don't ever want to see the skull format back on a season because the skulls were very boring. The skull seasons were worse than this season we're having right here, right now. Um, those made the daily challenges boring and the late game boring. That said, I look at these 6 people and it's frustrating to see their faces, knowing they're the ones going to the final.
100% agreed. I think that if there was a wrinkle with the skull thing where if they were all individual challenges and you could get them by winning a daily or an elimination, yeah. I think that that's something I could get behind because at least there's incentives for people to kick ass. I don't want to see skulls again either. It's not my vibe. I think you do get good storylines from people who are forced to go into elimination over and over and over again, but I don't want to see it. TJ sure as hell would have loved to see it in this moment though, because he can't help but into Jay once again.
Yeah, Jay makes his play for Mariah, and like we talked about how TJ broke the fourth wall last week, like over the Olivia decision, which is something that made sense, but TJ just openly like voiced disgust in Jay of like, you were crying last week. You were crying like a little tiny little baby. You were such a little baby, Jay, and now here you are again. You have the opportunity to save her, and you don't.
Yeah, Nurys calls him out for his lack of integrity and him being full of shit, and he's just going, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You got it wrong. No." And Nurys is just reading him for filth. He sucks. He's a baby back bitch, and TJ thinks so too. If there's maybe that's why I think Jay's been silent on social media for a lot of reasons, but the most embarrassing thing might be when you get TJ to really not like you. That sucks. Like that's hard.
Who is the last person that TJ disliked like this that wasn't like a quitter? That wasn't like someone who like.
That's what I'm saying. Like all I'm thinking of is like the people who've quit in the most lame way. So I'm trying to find someone that TJ's hated this much.
I feel like TJ didn't like Zach some seasons. But even
was
then,
this clear? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to watch back some old seasons and see who he clearly has some disdain for in this way. It's refreshing, honestly.
It's funny too because TJ does like some people that you wouldn't expect him to like, and I'm not even talking about like the Anisas, but like TJ likes Amanda. TJ like even through all like because he's seen her like get like tossed around by bigger people, but just stay in there for like hours and like he just loves that. Who does TJ? This is a fun question of like who does TJ hate?
Maybe we need to interview TJ. He'd never answer.
No, he would never.
He would just say quitters.
Let's talk about, 2 other people went to this elimination, which were Olivia and James. And sorry, folks, we just don't care.
I love though the parallel of Olivia's confessionals talking about how like it's her like she's very emotional about having to go against Nurys, and then you see Nurys being like, I want to beat them. Last time this sucked being here, but I want to send both their asses home, and no one is getting in my way. Like it's the Nurys show from here on out.
Let's just talk about some of the hell yeah, it is the Nurys show. We're all bored, but let's talk some of the ridiculousness of just Olivia and James actually real quick. Where I will say James he came in second in the daily challenge, very close to winning, and if he wins, then maybe we get the all-girl final, which is I can't believe there's a world where I'm cheering for James to win a daily challenge. He loses though, and now he's talking about, oh, my back's been against the wall this entire game. Brother, you went into that early elimination, and you haven't really been close to going again since. Like You've been coasting. You've been throwing people off the wall with Mariah. You've been in a good spot for most of this game.
He won an elimination where he also lost because he looked like such a loser. And yeah, he hasn't had to do anything other than just listen to Mariah and be her lapdog this whole season. This person, he has like this persecution complex because he's simply not like in the in group, but you're benefiting from this group. He is just as much of a victim thing going on as Berna in this moment because like nobody was coming for you. They saw you in that elimination, and then we're going to use you as just basically like, oh, well, we don't want to pick each other off yet, so we're going to use you as the guy that we throw in. But then Mariah was yapping for you, so like that kept you safe. So you're still here. Congratulations. You really persevered.
And then on the other side, it's just the all-time bonehead move of last week with Olivia, where she had not been in elimination or nominated for elimination all season. She makes that move, betrays her friends, and then next week, already back in.
Got nothing to show for it. So it was really worth it. Like the fact that she didn't even like fight for herself. I know she was trying to like keep Nurys safe in some way, but like the fact that she didn't say, I did that all for you guys last week, so where's the thank you in return? I had to deal with a lot of shit because of that. Honestly, and I think it would have been cooler for Nurys to send the boring couple packing at the end of all this.
They're long overdue. That they're just they've overstayed their welcome. We get to the elimination though. It is the same thing we've been seeing: 3 puzzles, mini final type thing. James gets the first flag on the easiest puzzle of them all, where it's not even a puzzle. It's just you look through a little glass and then you arrange it in an order of like on-off switches. The
Yeah, it
actual
was
puzzles,
two options.
yeah, and then these were actually, you could tell Olivia and James were competing in these eliminations with how much easier they made the courses and the puzzles for them compared to Horacio and Kyland. And even then, James get that first flag. Nurys catches up real fast, and then Nurys smokes them all. Wins 3-1-0 in, I think, one of the most dominant elimination performances we've seen in a while. Like she demolished them.
I've always said that slide puzzles would be my downfall if I were to go on Survivor, but a 5-piece slide puzzle, I think most people should be able to figure out, and Nurys does very quickly. I love that she says she's in a flow state and she's just so locked in because you can see it. She's not frazzled at all. She's just completely focused on herself. And we get another cool music moment where as she has her third flag, they start playing a song. I think it was called Unleash the Beast. And I was just like, there she is. Nurys is so impressive. And I am so happy that we have someone with even a splash of personality left in this house. But this is her like hero arc right now. This is, I think, when was the last time we had a season where like it seemed like everyone was behind one person, rooting for one person?
On the MTV show?
Like CT and Wes. That came to
Yeah.
mind immediately. Like,
Yeah, I would say that. Were you behind Car on Bloodlines?
no.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was rooting for Jenna and for Rihanna. Just because
Hey,
it was the
that
most fun.
I heard they closed the bakery. If they win that final, maybe that bakery is still open.
Yeah. Yeah, so I because any other final, there's at least like a selection of people that a lot of people like. Like in Double Agents, you have Leroy and Nani, you have CT on a team, you have Cam and Corey. Like those are people all different people can get behind. But like I feel like this is going to be a singular challenge community. Go Nurys.
Yeah, and USA just had Chris Underwood, who was like, I think everyone was kind of behind Chris, but it's not even close to how everyone just feels behind Nurys. It's not like people. I mean, Nurys is a star. We talk about it. We talked about it for 40 minutes basically at this point. Uh, she comes back, and I mean, like Olivia, James, they're gone. Bye. See you later. I will say I do like that they exist, so I can build up Nurys' legacy. In that, technically speaking, Nurys was 3-0 in eliminations, and James has just come off one elimination win. So I had that stat last week where Nurys has beat people who had won 10 eliminations in a row. Well, now she's beating people who won 14 consecutive eliminations. Uh, Thank you for that. Thank you for being part of the little tower that is like Nurys's castle.
Step
Like,
booster.
yeah.
Yeah.
When Nurys comes back to the house, the only person who gives her a hug is Corey. Mariah asks, "Is it just
Is
you?"
it just you?
And
She's like,
Nurys
yep,
is like, "Yep,
just me.
yep." They weren't even close.
And then I think someone try to, oh no, that was last week. Someone tried to say you don't know. And she's like, no, I know. But I love the energy she came back with. This is when Emmanuel gets all pissed because he's just like, you tried to get rid of me and it's not working. So hope everyone sleeps well. I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere. And they have nothing to say. They're all just mute.
Yeah, they're just
They
sad because they don't have storylines. They don't have anything to talk about. Their storyline is that they live in Nurys's world. What's it like being on a show with Nurys? That's literally your storyline at this point.
she's our natural born killer with her third like musical moment. I'm sorry, like it's so cool when it's like when people make fan edits, but instead it's MTV making a fan edit of Nurys.
There's just some editor and producer like, oh, this is about to go crazy. This is about to go crazy.
Yeah, they had all their like hype song playlists lined up, and were like, "Who are we gonna give this song to? Nurys, 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 Nurys."
They go to like their little club. Obviously, like Nurys is looking amazing. As you mentioned the song. It's time for the final, and TJ's about to drop the news on them. That's what's happening next week. Uh, we're gonna rank real quick to end this podcast. Who's the most deserving to least deserving of these finalists? Obviously, most deserving, Nurys at 1. At 2, I'm gonna say Jay, just because
Yeah,
he has controlled such a big part of this game. It's like, do we not like him? Yeah, but he's going to a final without Kylan Horacio and Nurys, without Kylan Horacio and Ed. Good for him, man. Good for him. He has a pretty good shot at winning.
yeah. After that, it gets real tough, though. I can you have a five-way tie for seventh place? Also, seven people is a weird number of people to be in the final. I feel like something's going to happen with that in the course of the final. But
I'm willing.
after what?
It might be easier to go to 7. Who's the
Okay.
least?
Colleen?
Yeah, I got Colleen too at 7, and then I
Yeah.
have Emmanuel at 6.
He hasn't done anything at all. I mean, I think deserving and potential success story in the final are two different things, but I don't think he deserves to be there.
Oh,
I think he will do well there.
oh, Zoe, let me spoil something for you. Like not like in the show, but I got a blog coming. I'm gonna do the top 10 most undeserving like finalist blogs, and one of the people on there, I got Hunter and Ashley on Final Reckoning because I don't think they deserve to be in that final compared to the 2 Lavender Lady teams that did not make the final. Um, because they didn't win any challenges, they didn't win any eliminations. They played a bad social game, they played a bad political game, but they had their friends just carry them and take shots from them. That was so you can win a season and not be the most deserving finalist. Like that's you know.
Yeah.
Next up,
Mariah?
yeah, Berna, Mariah, Corey. I don't know. Fuck it. Who gives a shit at this point? Honestly, Berna, Mariah, Corey, Emmanuel, 3 to 6, and then Colleen at 7. Colleen is just firmly 7. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just it's so hard to like even pick them apart because I don't remember anything they did other like
Berna's
they
not
don't.
winning. Berna's not winning this season because she can't, like, no, she can't do math. She can't read. She can't do a puzzle really. So Berna's not winning this season. We saw Colleen's cardio earlier. She's not winning. We see Mariah when it comes to anything that involves problem solving. She's not winning. So that's 3 people off the board.
I think Mariah's a huge head case too. Like I don't think that she can stay calm in any sort of pressure situation.
Yeah. I think Corey has a shot. I don't think. Obviously, you're very like you've thought Corey's kind of a layup the whole time. I think he's better than you give him credit for.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I think that it. I could see him coming in fourth.
well, not even that, but it's like if with how janky finals can. Oh yeah. I obviously can come fourth, but like with how janky finals can be sometimes. Um, I think he has like a 2% shot at winning. I think he has like an actual shot at winning. Like it's not going to happen most likely, but I think he has a shot. Like there's just no world I can see where Berna wins this season. There's no world where I can see Colleen winning this season. I can see Corey winning. Um, I bet on him to be fourth or fifth though.
Yeah.
So really, we got 3 people. We got Emmanuel, Nurys, and Jay.
Yeah. God, one of these stories is the only one that's acceptable. Jay would get like a true villain arc. Like really, if he like came through and then won, that completes the villain season. Although I think him being really inactive on social media makes me really think he didn't.
I think it
Because
also. I think
well,
it's edit.
I know, yeah, his edit, sure, but like, don't you think he could grin and bear it if
Yeah.
he knew he came out on top and just he could roll with the punches
No,
and hear people?
yeah. I just mean like MTV would be editing him differently right now if he won the season. I think they would be
Oh
showing him
yeah,
in a much more favorable actual honorable light rather than what we're getting right now.
fair, fair. But
Um,
that also is just him, so it's hard to edit away shitty.
yeah, Camilla did win 30-30, though they did edit her out of the reunion winning 30-30.
Yeah, exactly. To be
Any
lumped
last
in with Camilla.
any last thoughts?
Go Nurys.
Go Nurys.
Long live Nurys.
Everyone, thank you for listening. We're going to be dropping we just dropped a full interview with Kylan this week on the channel. Go listen to that. It was a lot of fun. He gave his opinions on so many cast members. There's honestly, like, what's so crazy is that interview went for almost 2 hours, and yet there's still so much we could have asked him more. But it was still such a fun time, and like we honestly might do another one at some point because it was just like it was a delight talking to him. There's going to be an interview dropping this week with Michelle and Nurys, probably not Michelle and Nurys, Michelle and Olivia, probably tomorrow. We do hope to have Nurys on the channel at some point. Look, I just want to say that's just me hoping it'll happen. I have not reached out to her. I'm just, I'm putting it into my dream journal. Um,
You
but
and
yeah,
me both.
maybe we'll have some other cast members on here too. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Follow us on Spotify, iTunes, um, here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Have a great weekend.